Welcome to the Home Designer Landscape and Deck project. We will be covering a complete landscape project today, covering a little bit about the decks. It's going to take us about an hour. My name is Emily and I will be presenting with our Home Designer Pro today. We also have Jenna with us, and she is our chatter. So if you have any questions throughout today's seminar, feel free to type those in and Jenna will be responding to you today. So before we get started with our demonstration, let's go over that GoToMeeting control panel. So first we have the audio setup. The standard is use mic and speakers, so you can just select that radial. You'll hear me through your speakers today. If you're not able to hear me correctly, double check the volume on your computer or select this audio setup, and that will also help adjust the different levels. I have everybody muted, so you don't need a mic today. There's just too much feedback when we have everybody unmuted, so you don't have to worry about a mic today. You'll be using the questions chat to type in any questions that you have. If you aren't able to get that speakers option to work correctly, select the telephone option. There's going to be a new telephone number, code, and PIN for you, so there will be charges for that probably, but that is an option. If you don't see this large area, it will minimize to this little toolbar. So that goes up to the right-hand corner of your monitor. Just select this orange arrow button, and that will restore this larger area. So next we have our questions. Type in any questions that you have at the bottom here, select send, and you'll see the question and Jenna's response in this log here. We do have many different Home Designer programs. I'll be using the Home Designer Professional today, so that has all of the complete tools that we offer. So we do have the different options depending on the level of design that you need to get into. And I'll show you where you can find the product comparison on our website at the end of today's presentation, so you can see those a little bit more in depth as well. So we're going to work on the exterior of our structure today. So I'll still go over the program overview, kind of how everything's laid out in the program, and then we'll build our terrain. We'll modify that a little bit with different elevations, doing our walkout basement. We'll also get into decks, doing the decks and stairs and kind of a porch option, patio area. And then we'll get into our fencing and how we can change our fencing options, placing garden beds, different landscaping options throughout the design, and at the end we'll place a pool as well. So again, if you have any questions, simply use that chat function through that GoToMeeting control panel. Alright, so I have already set up a new plan. So I already have my building created. Just to give you an idea, let me go up into our setup options. So this is something that will come up when you open up any one of our programs. So it will give you kind of a link to getting started, gets you into some different training videos, resources for you. And then if you select a new plan, that will bring up some different options. So you can set up your different defaults, kind of a different style of architecture with the different doors and cabinets and windows that you can start with. And you can also select whether you'd like to use the metric or the US unit imperial option. Under our drop-down, we also have landscape and terrain and landscaping templates, as well as deck and pool options. So this is a great resource. If you don't really care about starting from scratch, you want to start with an existing project, you can go through these, and these are already created plans. So you can walk through these, you can see which one is pretty similar to what you'd like to do, and then you can alter that. So that's an option. You can get started within this drop-down and choose one of those options. Alright, since I already have my home created, I'm just going to hit cancel here, and we're going to go over our toolbars. So across the top, we have our default toolbar set. This is the toolbar that's in all of our programs here. And then over on the right-hand side, we have our library browser. In Home Designer Pro, we also have an additional toolbar for different zooming, reference options, snap options. So that always makes it a bit more convenient. And then across the top, even further up, we have our terrain configuration. This is also only in the Home Designer Pro. This will alter our toolbar to be our terrain configuration. So within all of the other programs, simply just go up to Terrain and you'll find all of these tools in here, and as well as the default toolbar set that's right under Build. So just kind of a layout of the different tools and how to access those. So let's get started by creating our terrain. So we need to build a terrain. Under the Terrain tools, we have a Build Terrain Perimeter. So with a single click, it's going to automatically outline my structure with a square here. So that has built my terrain, and I can modify this. So if I select the edge here, I can use these editing handles to drag it out, or I can also use this temporary dimension that appears. So right now it's 89 feet. I'm going to single click on that temporary dimension that's perpendicular to the edge I selected, and I'm going to type in 77 feet. Our programs think in inches, so if you're not wanting to do inches, make sure you put that foot marker in there. And I'm just going to hit Enter on my keyboard. So that will modify to the correct dimension. I'm going to do that lengthwise here. We're going to single click on that temporary dimension again. Let's do 135 feet. Hit Enter. So that will modify. We can also drag these corners, so if you have an angled lot, you can definitely do any angles, or you can be even more precise with our dimensioning tools. So across the top, we have our dimensioning option, and in Home Designer Pro, we have an angular dimension, which helps get that accuracy if it's not a standard angle that it snaps to in the rest of the programs. So let's get into a 3D view and actually see what this is creating. So we have our camera. It's a perspective view, so it brings up all of the different textures. And I'm going to be using our full overview. This engulfs everything that's in the plan. And now our toolbar has changed again since we're in a 3D view. And I'm going to select our Move Camera with Mouse tool. I like this orbit option, so I'm just going to click and drag to orbit around in my design here. So you're going to see just this flat lot that's been created. Now let's get back into our plan view, and I'm going to show you a few different options with creating your plot here. So I'm going to close this 3D view that's opened, so just with that gray X up in the right-hand corner. Alright, so I just used my basic Build Terrain tool. If you have survey information, if you have a custom lot, you can also get up into your CAD tools. So under the CAD options, we have the lines. And before I get started, I'm just going to create a north pointer. So with the north pointer, you can just click and drag, and I'll just get a simple line out here just to show you. So we can get back into the CAD, we'll draw a line. So this is going to be one edge of that lot. You can single click on that object, that line, and once you select any object or line in the program, over on our toolbar at the bottom here, and in Home Designer Pro, this editing toolbar shows up at the bottom. In all the other programs, you'll see this editing toolbar on the left-hand side of your monitor. There's an open object, so this enhances our control. We can change the different angles, lengths, and so forth. So if you have the coordinates, you just simply put that right into this area, and that will enhance your line so you can get that accuracy that you need to. So you do have full control over that, and we do have a help article to walk you through that on our website, and I'll show you where you can find that at the end of today's training as well. One more thing under the CAD option that I wanted to show you is this sun angle. This is available in the Home Designer Pro, and we can just single click after that has been selected to get some different data. So we can change our date. Let's go to August 2nd. We can change the time, and of course where we're located. And let's make shadows. So we are able to cast shadows, kind of get some more information on where the shadows will be cast throughout the day, the different times of the year, the different seasons, and how that's going to affect our deck, how that's going to affect our landscaping. So that's also a great tool to get some more information on that. So I'm just going to double click on that sun angle again and delete the shadows. Oh, gotta press OK. Delete shadows. All right, so now that I've gone over some of the different CAD options, let's get into some different terrain elevation options. So I'm going to get back into our perspective overview so we can see the alterations in the 3D view as well. I'm going to zoom in. We can zoom in using the scroll wheel on our mouse. And we can also pan just by holding down that scroll wheel. You can move the entire plan with that pan hand. And now I'm going to tile this vertically. Under Window, we have Tile Vertically, and you'll also notice different shortcuts. So you can use Shift F6 to tile these as well. So let's get into our terrain elevation tools. Across the top, we'll have our elevation controls, and we have points. So you can just put a single point somewhere. You can get into your elevation lines, spline or curved lines. You can also do regions. And I'm going to do our regions today. So let's see, let's do our back area here and underneath our house a little bit. So right now I'm just putting down these regions, and now we're going to modify. So first I'm going to select our entire plot. I'm going to open this up for specification, and under the building pad I want to uncheck the auto calculate elevation, and we can change this to a different elevation in here. Let's do -18 and see that modify. Oh, I did negative. Let's do positive. There we go. So we can see how that alters in our different views here. So you have full control over that positioning of that entire pad right in here. I'll put that back to 0. And then we can open up one of the elevation regions. And let's put that to 0. And see that alter. And you'll see that it will also give that automatic slope option. So let's open this guy up and do -96 and see how that alters. All right, there we are. I do need to bring down that front pad a little bit here just so it doesn't interrupt with the rest of our house. We need that to be in our foundation a little bit there. Okay, so let's orbit around here. And there we are. We have our walkout basement. And I'm going to zoom in here using my zoom tool over on the right-hand toolbar, the zoom marquee option. I'm just going to marquee around our different elevations here. So it will automatically slope in 1 foot increments. So you'll see the different options here. If you do have a different layout and it's not that smooth slope, you'll just get into the elevation lines or spline lines to change that up a bit. Okay, so now that we're back into our front area, let's discuss our decking. So I want a front porch area. So I'm going to get into our decking tools. We have our straight deck, a curved deck, and these have the railings on them. We also have straight and curved deck edging, so if you don't want any railing, you can use those. And we also have a polygon-shaped deck. So I'll use our straight deck tool and just come down to the plan, and this works just like our wall tool. You just click and drag, and once you connect that to the other walls, it will automatically create that deck and the railing and the footings and everything for you. I'm going to zoom in here just with my scroll wheel, and let's modify this. I'm going to select the edge of the deck there, select our temporary dimension, and let's do 6 feet. Hit enter, and that will modify. And now let's add some stairs. So under build, we can find our stair tool, and I'll use our click stair. This is pretty efficient when you're coming onto a deck. Let's just get a locate to our terrain and build our stairs for us. And then we can modify that as well. And if you want that centered directly onto your front door, while the stairs are still selected, we'll go down into our editing toolbar and select this center object tool. With a single click, we can then bring our cursor onto the door and single click again, and those stairs will move to be centered on our front door. And now let's address our railings. I'm going to single click on each one of these railings. I'm also going to hold down my control key. With holding down control, I can multi-select the different objects. So let's open those for specification. So under the railing tab, we can change to open. We have a few different options here. I'm going to change that to panels. And then under the newels and balusters, we can change the height. And we can change that panel to be solid or framed out. Or we can get into our library. So I'm going to open up our library. With Home Designer, we have our core catalogs. These are the generic items that we include with the program. We also have bonus catalogs. These are items that we come out with every once in a while to add to your catalog options, and I'll show you where you can download those off of the website. And then we also have different manufacturer options and a user catalog where this is your own custom folder that you can copy and paste any items from the other folders that you use frequently or anything that you've imported as well. So let me expand our core catalogs and get into our fencing options and railing options. So you can add cable, you can get into the glass options, ironwork. I'm going to get into this diamond pattern. And that will update in our view here so we can make sure that's the right one. And selecting OK, that will alter it. Alright, so now let's address the porch on the back side here. So I'm going to rotate around and just zoom in a little bit. Alright, so back up into our straight deck tool. I'm going to create just a basic rectangular deck. Oop, I double clicked on that, so let's create this out here. Just click and drag and connect that to the walls, and that will automatically create our footings for us. Now let's change the dimension. Single click on that railing and then single click on the temporary dimension, and let's change that to 10 feet. We can also alter that railing. It's still selected. So let's go down to our editing toolbar at the bottom, and we can change this to have an arc to it. So we can curve things pretty easily with that change line to arc tool. So that's pretty good as well if you didn't use our curved deck tool already. Alright, so we have a basic design here, I wanted to show you our polygon-shaped deck. So with a single click, this will ask us how many signs, the lengths, and a few different options here. That looks great, so I'm going to just single click on OK. Looks like nothing's happened, but we just need to bring our cursor right down to our design, single click, and drop it into place. Let's rotate around in our 3D view a little bit. Alright, so you see that there's a bit of overlapping here, so we need to clean this up. I'm going to zoom into my deck and delete these railings. So just single click, hit backspace on your keyboard, and you can just delete those and bring these guys down. So just resize these, and now we have a nice large deck. I would like to drop this area down a little bit. So that means I need to segment this separately from the rest of the deck. So I can do that by using my Invisible Wall tool. Under Build, I'll go into my Wall options and select Invisible Wall. So I can just create a barrier here that, of course, you can't see, but that allows me to define that space, so I can just modify that area. So by selecting that room, I can open up that portion and control a few different elements here. So under General, we have control over our labeling. The structure, we can change the flooring. I'm going to drop that down 12 inches. So that's going to drop down for me, and I can get right back into the stair tool to that one-click option, and we can drop in a stair. Let's resize that and get that correct here. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more on our 3D view here. And you'll notice the materials don't quite match, so let's get into our material eyedropper. That will enable me to change the material. Just single click on the existing material and then paint it onto the other. So very easy to match those colors. I wanted to show you one more area in our decking controls. So I'm going to just double click in this decking room. So I showed you the structural option. Under the deck tab, we can control different planking options. So you can change the overhang, the width, different gap controls. And I'm going to get into our plank direction. So with the planking option, I'm going to change that to 45 degrees. We can also add a border on here or change it to herringbone, whatever we'd like there as well. In Home Designer Pro, we have additional controls. We can change the different joist options and beam options. So Home Designer Pro really gets into further structural detailing that the others don't have. So I'll select OK. And now you can see that planking direction has been modified. Now let's get into our library and just accessorize this a little bit. So we can get into our core catalogs. And let's see, under architectural, we do have quite a few different options with the fencing and everything in here. And then we also have an exterior option that gets into some further detailing with garages, irrigation. I'm going to get into our outdoor living and get into some of the furniture. So let's do some furniture sets here, and we'll do our patio table. And I'm going to place that in our 2D view here. So single click, drop that into place. And then you can go through our entire area, can get into some different cooking options. And let's do a grill here. Okay. So you get the idea. You can just go right through all of our different exterior folders here and check out what we have. You can also import additional 3D objects in most of our programs as well. Alright, so now we need to add some more stairs to the other side of our deck here. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here and rotate around for us. So back in our 2D view, I'm going to go up to Build and get our stairs. This time I'm going to select our straight stairs. And we can just click and drag right up to our porch area. And there we go. Alright, so now let's get into the different patio options at the bottom here. So we need to get down into our basement. So right now we're on our first floor. You can see that by the number 1 indicated in our toolbar. So we can go down to our basement, which is indicated by 0. And I would like to create that patio area, but I need to make sure that I have it dimensioned correctly in regards to our decking. So I want to make sure I can see the deck. And we can do that with our reference display option. There's a shortcut in Home Designer Pro, but you can find that right under Tools and Reference Floors right with that display option here. Alright, so now we can see where the decking is. And in Home Designer Pro we have our slab tool. Some of the other programs are a little bit more basic, so I'm just going to show you how you can use shapes. Shapes is just an object in the program. You can use this for pretty much anything. So I'm just going to click and drop that shape in, and let's resize that. Just going to click on the editing handles. So let's open this up. It's a bit large, so we can change that height. Let's do 4 inches and change that. And then I can get into a different view and change the elevation here. So in my orthographic camera, we have our cross-section elevation view. So with this tool, we can just single click and drag towards our slab. I'm going to bring that up here. We'll expand this out. So in here, you can see our slab option. And we can just bring that, oh, I clicked the wrong handle. There we go. We can just bring that right down. And if we zoom in, we can get even more precise. Okay. So now let's go back up to our first floor. Get back into our camera view. So we can see that this is laid out. And let's match our materials. So if we want this to be concrete, we can use our material eyedropper and single click on the concrete footings and apply that to the patio. Alright, let's get back into our front yard and alter a few different areas up front here. So I'm just going to zoom out again, reposition my floor plan, and let's get into a 3D view of the front here. Okay, so let's get into our garage, driveway. We'll do a sidewalk, some fencing, and our garden bed up front here. So I'm going to get into 2 views here. And I don't need my reference display on anymore, so I'll just turn that off with my shortcut tool over in my toolbar. And for the driveway, that's under terrain. So we can just get into our roads and sidewalk option. We'll do a driveway area. And we can just drop this in. And we can also alter that angle pretty quickly as well. Now let's get into our sidewalk. We'll just do a straight sidewalk. Just click and drag, and connect everything there. And now with our fencing, I'm just going to zoom around a little bit so you can see how the fencing will apply that slope as well. So in our 2D view, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here so we can get a better view. And then select our fencing options. And we have, of course, the straight and the curved, so quite a few different controls there. And I'm just going to click and drag that out. We're just going to follow the edge here. And you'll see that slope. And we'll just drag it across here and follow up and back to the house. All right, so in this area, I'm going to get our gardening tools. Oop, wrong one. Let's zoom in on that floor plan. And I'm going to just move this fence back a little bit and get into our garden beds. So we have the garden bed option here. We have a square, a round, or the kidney shape, which is pretty much whatever crazy shape you want to make. So with our square option selected, I'm just going to click and drag out. So now we have a square. The nice thing about this object is that we can break it. So instead of creating another square over here, I'm simply going to select that garden bed, go down to my editing tools at the bottom, and hit break line. So this break line option enables us to single click in that intersection and break it, so we can just drag that portion over. And then I'm just going to modify a few different options here and select our edge and curve it with our line arc tool. And then we can also change that arc. So to change the arc freely without any snapping, just hold down your control key on the keyboard and that will temporarily eliminate any snapping. So now we have our garden bed. I'd like to have a little walkway. So instead of using our garden bed tool again, I'll use our terrain features. With the terrain features, I'm going to select this rectangle and then just do a little rectangle here and alter this a bit. So we'll drag that out. And I really like this arc tool. Really easy just to curve things out. So I'm going to do that same curve on the other side. I'm going to do the arc tool and then just single click on this triangle and drag it over. And then we can open up this terrain feature, and if you want to change the height, we can do that to make it a bit higher than the garden bed. And we can also get into materials. So right now this is concrete. You can see with the default option it's just concrete. Let's open up our library materials. I'm going to close out our stone and get into our landscaping. This is right through our core catalogs, materials, and landscaping. So let's get into decorative rock and do a light rock option. And there we go. This needs a few plants, so let's get into our plant tools. We can get into our plant chooser to speed up our process. So I'm just going to look for roses. Hit search. That's going to bring up all of our different rose options, and we can scroll down. And if we select one, it will bring it over in our library. So now that I have one selected, I'll just close that and let's place that in our plan. We'll just drop in a few here and let's change color, drop in a few more. So we have a few placed here, but they're awfully small. So let's grow those. Back into our plant tool, we have a grow all plants option. So we can slide this over and have them grow. Let's do 8 months. And you'll notice that those all increased. So pretty easy to place the plants, modify those, and get those placed correctly. I'm going to close up a few different areas here. And let's actually just use our search option. So I'm going to search for bird bath. So here's a bird bath garden. I don't really see what it looks like, so I'm going to right-click on this object and hit Show in Browser. So that's going to bring it up in the browser so I can see where it's located in my library here. And let's place that to see what it looks like. All right, that's pretty good. And as you can see, there are many different objects all clustered together here. This is an architectural block. So once you place different objects together, like a bird bath and all of the different flowers, you can make it an architectural block in Home Designer Pro and Home Designer Architectural. You can also explode this. So if you like portions of it, you can select it, and at the bottom hit Explode Architectural Block, and then delete certain items in that architectural block. So it gives you a lot of different control and efficiency there. All right, now let's get into some different evergreen trees. We're just going to type in evergreen. So it's going to bring up some different materials. And then we have some different trees here. Let's try this one. We'll drop that into our plan. And let's also look for a bench. So I'm going to do garden bench. There we go. So of course, if you right-click on that and show in browser, it will give you many more different bench options that didn't have the word garden in them. So that's a great way to kind of narrow things down, but also find everything that you're looking for. All right, so let me rotate that around a little bit. And now let's add a gate. So one more search here. Let's do Picket Gate. There we are. All right, so this is kind of like our door tool. You can switch that swing and hinge side just by holding down the left click. So let's put it there. And that's a bit high, so that is, just like our door tool, finding the location of our structural flooring. So we don't want it to be inside the house flooring, we want it to be on the landscaping. So let's try -18. Let's bring that floor to bottom down. There we go. That's a bit better. And then, of course, we can also get into our options and we can show open. So that's always good to see that that's a gate in our 3D view. All right, so we have our front area completed. Now let's add a few different landscaping items to the back. So I'm going to just zoom around to our back area here and get back into our library. So this time I'm going to get into a different area. Let me close up these so we can see our area. Okay, so we do have our bonus catalogs. So with the bonus catalogs, we have outdoor rooms and gardens. So I'm going to just expand this gardens area, and we can find quite a few different options in here. I'll just select this sunny garden and place one over in the corner here. Single click on that, use our triangle to rotate. And let's place a cherry tree as well. And we'll put that over in our corner. And now we have quite a large area in the middle, so let's drop in a pool. So I'm going to type in pool, and let's go through the different options that come up here. So we have quite a few different pools already created. We have pool accessories that you can choose from. And let me just scroll down here. Let's do this one. Drop that right into the middle here. And that's not quite the orientation I'd like. So I'm going to select that, rotate it. And let's move it over a little bit. Okay, so I'd like to change the different materials. Instead of having that bright brick option, I'd like to change the pavers here. So that is under our landscaping option under the materials as well. And we can get into our pavers and see a preview of all of those different options. So I'll just select this light color. Once we're in that 3D window, our cursor will change to a paint can. So that means that we're going to apply that to the materials. So I will single click, and that's applied to our patio, single click, and that's applied to our pool side. I'm going to close out our 3D view here and just take one more 3D view of us sitting in our lounge chair poolside and checking out our house. And let me open this up. We can make it a larger full size. So now that I have this larger, we can also change our backdrop. So I'd like to have a sky with some clouds. So underneath our backdrop folder, I'm going to open up sky. And we have a few in here. Let's do this guy. Then we just single click in that background area, and that's applied. So you can also import any photo that you have as a backdrop and apply that yourself. So it can be a bit more customized to your own area as well. So that is pretty straightforward with how all of the different landscaping tools work within our Home Designer software. And let me take you over to our website. I wanted to show you a few different areas. And let me expand this up here. All right, so this is homedesignersoftware.com. And this is our homepage. You'll notice that we do have more online seminars, webinars that you can link to right here. Under products, you can see all of the different options that we have. If you select this product chooser, that will bring up kind of a layout of how the products are incorporated into one another. So we have a separate landscape program. So that's great for if you're just doing your deck and landscaping. If you also wanted to do interiors, this complete program with our complete interiors program are both integrated into our architectural, which gives you even more features. So this is kind of a full, complete product with both the landscaping and interiors. If you want to get a little bit more structural, have a bit more control with any construction documents, that type of thing, the Home Designer Pro will give you some more of those features. Also, click on this Compare All Products. That will give you some more details. Also, under Products, you can check out our upgrade options. So if you have an older version or you have a lesser version, we do offer upgrading. So definitely check out the different options right through here. And then we do have a trial version. If you have not been in our program before, we do offer a free trial version of this Home Designer Pro that I've used today. So under that Pro page, you can download the free trial version. You're not able to save or print, but besides that, there's no limitation. So no time limit. You have full functionality of all of the other tools. So that's a great option to kind of check things out a little bit more in depth as well. So under our User Center, once you have the program, you'll want to get into our content downloads. This is what I used. This is our bonus catalog. So some of the different outdoor living options here. And then, of course, the grouped rooms. You can get into some of those interior options as well. And we do have some different manufacturers for like countertop surfaces. So you can get some different manufacturers from this bonus catalog as well. Also under that User Center, you can view our training videos. So we have many training videos that walk you through the different products. We have additional webinars. And then we have our user forum, Home Talk. So if you have any questions you want to talk about with other users, this is a great resource to kind of get some different ideas. And our tech support developers also monitor this, so they have some good tips as well, a little bit of feedback there. And then, of course, you can expand and check out some different sample galleries and idea galleries and so forth. The last resource tip I wanted to talk about was our help database. This is full of written articles, so I just wanted to bring up like survey. If you have survey information, just type in survey, and this will bring up how to create a plot plan using survey information. So once you select it, it will bring up the different how-tos and bring up the different pictures and how to go through all of the different steps in applying that. So you have full control of creating your own custom plot plan with our software. All right, so if you have any more questions, type those in. Jen is on here, so feel free to ask any questions regarding landscaping right now. The software has been developed from our Professional Chief Architect program. So the technology behind it is very robust. We try to make it very user-friendly with the different kind of functionality of the program, as well as the training tips that we offer as well. We also have a 30-day money-back guarantee. We want you to be successful with the software. So you have 30 days to make sure you like it, whether it's a new purchase or an upgrade purchase. And definitely check out those training videos, the help database, and Home Talk. If you have any questions about the right software for your project, give us a call. We're here to help you out, figure out which one will have the right tools for your project. So give us a call or email us. And again, if you do have any questions, just select this red arrow button, and that will expand the questions area if you weren't able to get in there beforehand. So let us know if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. Thank you for attending, and enjoy your afternoon.